unique opportunity since he received Lukashenko with his illegitimate son Kolya 2 years ago, and we do not understand fully why his ambassador Nuncius immediately congratulated and was not protesting. I think May 1st we should demand on Vatican that Pope Benedict should do something serious and talk to guy whom he received and help us to release political prisoners. And I think that in nutshell and in conclusion, we need to ask ourselves one question. Are we about regime change in Belarus or not? Because what's going on in Arab world now? How many people dead you need to let leader to be illegitimate and telling him that you are finished? How many more casualties we need in Belarus to say that we are not about imaginary process of democratization in this country, but giving a single condition or several conditions to Lukashenko, and if he's not fulfilling them, we should just work on regime change strategy like we did with Milosevic and like we are doing with Gaddafi and any other people. I think that unless we will be tougher, transatlantic cooperation, most powerful union of the world, European Union, most powerful country in the world, United States, need to show that we have power.
Thank you for using the word regime change, which is a word you still don't hear very much in Brussels, although a little bit more often than 5 years ago. Balázs wanted to comment upon this. I've got one from the audience. Lucas, yes. All right, we're getting to this. I'm moving from left to right, seen from myself. But Balázs has the floor first.
Thank you. Now I'm very glad Pavel raised regime change because this is a fact what we should talk about really, but also we should talk about. We have a great experience of regime changing from Ukraine. What really the Orange Revolution brought us. That was really the revolution, which was really real, was bringing us regime change or not. And I would say it's not. And the reason and these lessons learned, I think, need to take into the regime change effort in Belarus. And I think when I'm talking about regime change, I'm talking about social and political change. We focus too much on Lukashenko and much less on the society. Again, my first point was like, we don't really know Belarus. And social and political change is Poland. Regime change is Ukraine. And what we want in Belarus, Poland or Ukraine? It's a rhetorical question. The other point was the party assistant, which I wanted to react, and I think it's again a great point. And I fully agree with how Guyanek was putting it, that unfortunately, donors are making political parties and candidates dependent on investment money. On the other side, look at what happened in these elections, Guyanek. Like, donors pick up the candidates because a few of them had tons of money and others had not. Why? Based on what criteria? Compared to the 5 years ago when actually there was a process run by Belarusians and they elected a single candidate. I think it's a huge difference, and I think the 2006 process was real and it was local, and this process was actually totally donor driven, and therefore perhaps we had an issue what we had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ed Lucas, you're the first to take the floor. I understand there is a microphone coming.
And he's on the left. Is that better? Yes.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the really weak point in the regime is its financial connections with the West. We can have travel bans, and that's good, and we can make lists of people responsible for the crackdown and atrocities and so on. But the really weak point for Lukashenko and his immediate family is their Western bank accounts. And if we can do this for Gaddafi and his family, why can't we do it for Lukashenko and his family and really scare them? We all know the banks who are based in Minsk and the countries they come from in the EU, and it was very interesting when this was discussed in the EU after the crackdown, which countries were very keen to object to any idea of going after this money. So that's the first thing. And I think the second thing is we need to do something big and dramatic for to show that Europe is open for Belarus as a country, even if not for the regime. And I would suggest that greatly expanding the Erasmus Mundus program and taking in not hundreds but many thousands of students from Belarus and the other Eastern Partnership countries would be a very good signal. It would be a pinprick compared with the amount of money we've wasted on things that don't work, and would have a very big effect. And I would add to that we should do it on a Fulbright principle, that the scholarship is conditional on the people returning to Belarus afterwards and working there for a period of years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And there were more questions in this direction. Who's next? Yes, please. Statement is fine. And please state briefly who you are. Not everyone knows you here.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alexey Yanukevich. I'm a chairman of Belarusian Popular Front Party from Belarus. So I would like to say that we have to divide the issue. Short-term goals and long-term goals. Short-term goals is have political prisoners out of the prison. And at this issue, pressure on Lukashenko regime can be helpful. So there must be pressure put it onto Lukashenko regime, political prisoners to be released. Second long-term issue is democratization of Belarus and regime change. And on that issue, such pressure will not be so effective, because changes will not come from inside of the regime, changes will not come from outside the Belarus, changes can come only from